Can you hear me? Hello? Yeah, so today in the markets was pretty crazy. A lot of stuff going down. There's a lot of stuff that's going down, like this Emergency Measures Act. Uh, who knows if they're going to be open on Monday. I expect the market's going to crash on Monday. I believe wholeheartedly that's going to happen. It's going to be wild. I got this beverage I'm going to have, CBD beverage from EVERIE. It's lemon and lime, 10 milligram CBD. So that's what's up. I'm going to link this on Twitter. Um, Thanks for the like. Yeah, so there's a lot going on. Basically, they're gonna do $1 trillion in repos next week for USA. So they started doing, I don't know, I thought it was like started at about 10, 15 billion in repos. And this was back in September, and now we're in March, and now it's not enough. All the interest rate cuts isn't enough. It's never enough. And now they're booming up to have $100 billion isn't enough. Now they got to go to $1 trillion on top of QE. So we're in some crazy freaking times right now. And I'm gonna go check out. Gold came up at the end of the day, and crude kind of came down. Crude was up early in the morning. Let's try this drink just to chill out. Oh. Yeah, so this is a new drink. If you just came on, can you please hit the like? I'd appreciate it. And this is EVERIE lemon and lime CBD beverage. If you can hear me, I appreciate. If not, leave a comment. My headphones just busted up, so I don't have my headphones right now. So yeah, there's a lot going on. They're doing $1 trillion in repos next week daily. Hey, so you can hear me? Yeah, so $1 trillion in repos. I got to look back on my all the information that I did back in September when I was doing videos. They're basically pumping, I thought it was like 10 to 20 billion every day, and now they're going to do $1 trillion next week. So it's just not enough. They have so much debt that they're trying to just swap around to handle all the debt, and it's going to be wild in the market because these oppressive acts take away your rights in Canada and USA. Basically, they used to be able to, you can do what you want, right? But now in these acts, it's like it takes away. They can take your property. They can make you work. You're a slave to the whole system right now. Under this act, pretty much. What impact? What impact do I think it'll have? James Rossman. What impact do I think it'll have? Man, there's just so much bad news right now. It's not going to do much, man. Basically it's fucked. It's really fucked because basically all it's going to do, USA wants to own all these companies. Trump or one of his guys has already talked and said that they want to nationalize companies. So that's kind of how in Russia and China they operate, that they nationalize companies. So basically they're just trying to transform USA and Canada and maybe all other countries, around the world into a communist regime. But people are so confused because they're talking about the virus and all that stuff like that, and people are just paranoid about the virus because they believe everything that's going on in the media. And then if they look at their 401k or their TFSA, if they have all these random stocks like Apple and stuff like that, and they see that it's down so much, they're butthurt, right? And they're crying, they're hurting inside. And then they hear this news, and then people are just going to panic, right? So I expect it's all planned, in my opinion, and it's not going to end well. I think we have a lot more downside risk. They're just basically just transferring the money from, because some companies, they can't handle their debt load, so the money just gets swapped across from different institutions. Some of the hedge funds want to get out of the whole market, but Trump's like trying to keep them in. He's trying to do things to make them happy and stuff. So it's just super wild. And man, I just get so much hate on Twitter or whatever just by being honest about things, and it's pretty wild out there. Uh, so, I mean, realistically, I think what it should do for gold and platinum and silver, it should eventually rise that up. But I mean, that is just so wild, man. Like $1 trillion, there's only companies that are worth $1 trillion. $1 trillion is a ton of money. So, I mean, all these guys back in 2008 that know all the stuff about these companies, and they've studied this stuff longer than me, and I follow them on Twitter. They just laugh at the fact, $1 trillion doesn't do anything. And I'm looking at my compass, and it tells me, just got to click it. Where are we going? Going to hell. Hell in a handbasket. But they don't want people talking. So they got people so scared to talk to each other. So they don't understand have I tried trading the VIX? Yeah, I've looked at it. I should have bought the VIX a long time ago. I should have bought TVIX and UVXY. I wasn't expecting the TVIX or the UVXY to fly so high, but suddenly it has. So it's pretty crazy. Are you trading the VIX? What kind of stocks do you trade, James Rossman, or you just kind of watching, or do like a paper account? I know that's some people, they have a paper accounts with different brokerages. So this drink's pretty good. This is from Tilray, ticker TLRY, and it's a 269 milliliter CBD sparkling beverage. And yeah, it's pretty good. 10 milligrams of CBD. It's got 60 calories. Not bad. So InBev, Budweiser, the company, they work with Tilray. So that's kind of what's up. And they worked on this drink, and TWEED from Canopy Growth is going to have THC drinks soon, so it'll be interesting. Valens company's got beverages, but not in BC, so this is the first time I was able to get it at the store. So I got another edible that I'm gonna have too. Do you trade the VIX, James? Yeah, I think the VIX is a good thing, but it's kind of the first panic of the whole market getting crushed. It hit the top. It peaked, in my opinion. It may go a little bit higher. You say I originally used to just trade crypto, but now I'm trading ETFs and stocks. Okay, which stocks are you trading? I think it's hard to trade from Europe into Canadian and American stocks. I think there's like brokerages that cost a lot of money. So this is salted caramel. This is 10 milligrams of THC. So it's just this. And this is with Oxley. And yeah, not bad. I've had this before. Yeah. The VIX is basically like volatility and fear. So I don't think there's that much. There's still fear, but the crazy drop, I don't think it's going to do crazy drop for a while. I think it's going to just kind of go down a little bit more. So the VIX shouldn't really move that much. I mean, it may go a little bit, but if all of a sudden be lower, I got to check it out. Let me check it out. I wish I had the technology so I could figure out how to share the screen with you guys, but I don't have that on my OBS system. So 228 it closed at, and after hours it's 227. So smart guys, they're looking at the whole VIX and they're seeing that the SPY could drop to about 210. That's where there's like the resistance point on the SPY. So that could be the support side, but it could obviously go further down. So guys are watching that, and then they're gonna try to load up on big stocks like Boeing or Apple based on that. But I can see Monday just being a big drop. Just they pumped a lot of money into the markets today, and they still couldn't close in the green. But you see the cannabis stocks are kind of going up because there was some data that so when cannabis was legalized in Canada, it was about 50 million per month, and now it's up to about 165 million a month. So that's about like 1.8 million 1.8 billion a year on an annualized basis. So it's getting to 2 billion because I think 2020 in Canada should be about 2 to 3 billion. 2 billion to be safe, but I think it's probably over that. At the end of the year, it'll get a lot bigger, especially with more stores, but now they're closing stores, so it's kind of a free for all. But delivery and through online, if they can just deliver it to people, then there still will be lots of sales. I'll read your comments in a bit. I'm just going to finish this chocolate. Okay, so you haven't traded the VIX just yet, though. Might give it a shot. I have a long position in Zoom and have my eyes on a few others. Okay, yeah, some people say that Zoom's a decent stock to hold right now because people are afraid of being outside, but I haven't really looked at the chart or seen their financials to really say what's up. We'll see. All I can say is you got to be very careful in this market. You know, just because a stock's up like 20% or all of a sudden doesn't mean it can't just whip back and go down like 40% in like 2 to 3 hours. Like that's really the market we're in. Do I have any long positions right now? Yeah, I do have long positions. I have long positions in cannabis stocks. I have long positions in, I bought a position in JNUG, which is a junior gold ETF. It was like at $100 recently, and now it's at like 350. So I got a position today. Excuse me. But I have positions in miners. Like NILSY's a big one. That's one of my best miners that I own. I sold. See, the problem with any market, like anything going on right now, they can all of a sudden just shut down the business, right? And there's nothing you can do about it. And all of a sudden your stock's going to get crushed when the news is released and you're all of a sudden down like 25%. For example, Pan American Silver, which is, in my opinion, before this whole situation where they started shutting down and things got all more like serious as far as how the government regulations in countries said they got to shut down, that it's one of the best, in my opinion, the silver companies in the world. You know, it's hands down one of the best, no doubt. There's very little silver players, so I do really like it. But their Peru mine, they said that they closed it down because the virus. So that's effed up. Did you see Cineworld went up 150% in 30 hours? Cineworld. I've never really heard of Cineworld. I've heard of Cineplex. I'll look at Cineworld. Yeah, I mean, definitely, man. Things can just go crazy all of a sudden. We're just in a lot of volatility. It's not showing me any. It just says it's flat. Cineworld Group says it's at $51 in on the LSE, the London Stock Exchange. So I'm not really seeing that. Okay, I see what you're saying. March 17th, it was at $20 and then it went to $60. Yeah, I mean, we're just in a lot of volatility, up and down, up and down, but the trend's downward, right? Because we're in a bear market and pretty much every industry we're in a down market. Just based on the data, that the fact that companies, like, for example, think about it. What if all of a sudden a McDonald's employee was able to infect some customer, and or they were known to have the coronavirus or something like that? All of a sudden they would blow it up, and you know, all of a sudden McDonald's would lose like a 25% in within minutes. You know, I mean, it would just be eliminated. So it's just so effing crazy, and there's no words to really explain it. But I mean, what I'm mostly worried about is just the fact that, I mean, I'm more concerned about people in the States or people in big cities, because I think they're really trying to scare people in the cities. They don't want to have big riots, because what people are going to see is, because in my opinion, what's going on is it's killing off businesses. Like, they're doing this on purpose to kill off businesses. So the people that don't have any cash are just going to be destroyed, because if they only have, I don't know, like they have all this debt and all of a sudden they can't pay the debt, and they don't have any cash flow coming in for 2 or 3 months, that small business is just going to be absolutely destroyed. So there's so many of these small businesses, so they're just going to be destroyed, and there's a lot of companies aren't going to be running as soon as they let people go back to work at these companies or whatever. So I mean, I've seen it before in a fire out in northern Alberta, when there was a big fire that happened in the mall. Like, a lot of the shops never came back, but that was like 2 or 3 months or something. So I don't know, man. It's gonna be crazy. I'm just gonna look at the commodities. So coffee's up 6%, Orange juice is up 6%. Silver's up 4.3%. Platinum's up 2.45%. And gold's up 1.48%. It closed above at 1501. So I'm bullish on gold. You know, I I believe in things like this, silver. I think it's a good asset to have if they're, because the way I look at how this is all going to be played out is that right now it's deflationary, all this situation. And I think they're kind of just trying to arrange all the debts and all that stuff in order. And then they're going to pump out even more money, like say like 2 or 3 or 4 trillion a day. And it's just economic stimulus. I know there's some people are saying that they should ban short selling. They may do that. I know they did that in China. So we'll see. I mean, there's a lot of things, but when they just bump up the stimulus, then people will buy, I guess. But a lot of people aren't going to have any money because they're not working right now. And I'd really say that the real estate industry is going to get absolutely destroyed in the next little while because people don't have the money. What are they going to get? Like a bit of money from the EI, employment insurance. But if they have, their mortgage, say that's like $4,000 a month or $3,000 a month, and they got 2 or 3 kids, they're feeding those kids. They got car payments, they're just going to get absolutely destroyed. And I think it's all on purpose. They just want to purge people that are over leveraged in the system. And then as soon as they purge all those people that are just completely demolished, then they're going to like all your investments, they're going to pump it up so high. And see, there's a lot to do with the dollar index too. The dollar got super strong recently. That's part of the reason as well why the crude went down, as well as with just the fact that and Russia kind of were arguing with each other. At least that's what they say. You're never gonna know everything. Dollar index. Yeah, I think it hit about 106, and now it's coming down to about 102. So who knows? I mean, people are just walking around like it's like no big deal. Everything's gonna be okay. No, it's not gonna be okay. A lot of these, I believe why they kind of want to have people inside, because if people are out and about, there could be a lot of fighting, there could be a lot of destruction, there could be riots and all that stuff like that. So they're trying to keep people inside and distracted on this virus. Oh yeah, you're afraid, you don't want to be in contact with other people and all that stuff like that. But they're going to just do all this stuff behind the scenes, and who knows, they could completely wipe out the whole banks, like take out all the cash, have no liquidity in the system, and make people just go crazy. I mean, it's really interesting that Bill Gates, he left Microsoft and he's all obsessed with a vaccine, and I don't trust Bill uh Bill Gates as far as his Microsoft and his old vaccine. I mean, he's got an agenda to like put chips in people and have people just being robots. And I don't know, man. I just don't trust him. I don't think he would have his family get these vaccines, but he's obsessed with having the whole population in vaccines. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of evil lurking around. Maybe I'm out of my mind, but I think I'm rational in my thinking. 3 dudes with hazmat suits showed up at my neighbor's early, pretty surreal. Yeah, man. I don't know if you've seen there's videos in China where they're literally welding people into their doors, and or people they're locked in China. They're not staying in, and they literally like beat the living shit out of them, like take them from their house, and maybe they're probably like execute them or kill them, or I don't know, man. Like, there's some crazy stuff going on in this world, and it's very wild that it's just happening in the cities. It's like San Francisco's locked down, this place is locked down, Italy's locked down, this place is locked down, and it's very oppressive. And I've heard before that there's it's like they want to have a global like situation where everybody's just even, and people in Canada and USA, you know, that maybe they get more money per wages, and that's why a lot of people from other countries come here to work, but then they give all their money back to countries like, say, I don't know, Argentina or Venezuela, or, you know, India, or and all these different countries. So they're getting more money than they would if they worked in India, but they're giving that money back to their other countries because they make good money. So people coming here, but they don't want people to have these kind of wages. They want to just make people work lots and lots of hours and just be literally slaves. And this Emergency Measure Act basically says that they can make people work. So there's a lot of freedoms that are taken from us. I don't know if it's gone through, but it seems like it probably will go through, and it's very scary. As well as the USA's got some type of act as well that I need to read up on, but things aren't normal. James Rossman says the elites never let an opportunity like this pass. No, I think you're right, man. I think you're right. There's a reason why some of these big CEOs are leaving their companies. You know, they've already cashed out. They're in hiding, and I don't know, man. Things are crazy. A lot is gonna change. Not sure for the better. Yeah, man. I'm very on the watch. I mean, for all I know, I mean, I could go bug out somewhere. I mean, I'm not saying I'm gonna do that, but if they're gonna try to like put me in some type of FEMA camp, which they plan to have FEMA camps across Canada and USA, because all these people they're not gonna have any jobs, right? So they're gonna be like, oh, we can put you in these housing, but you need to take the vaccine. And what if the vaccine is pretty much poison? Who can trust these elites? You know, they're known to just inflate bubbles and then deflate bubbles in the Wall Street and all that stuff like that. And then it's like, oh yeah, trust the government. So they could put people in these camps, and all of a sudden you have to take this vaccine, and it's poison, and all of a sudden you die in like 2 days or less. I mean, I don't know. I know it's conspiracy theory, but I mean, I wouldn't be trusting the government right now. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be wild. I'm gonna play some music for a little bit. I'm gonna look at some stuff. All right, I'm back. Yeah, so let's just do a rundown on the commodities today. So I think it's a good ETF, and it's the Sprott Physical Platinum Palladium ETF, and it's ticker SPPP, and the price is 1047, and it was up 10.2% today. And Suncor SU in Canada and in USA. And in USA, it traded at $11.09. So Suncor is pretty much the biggest oil sands company in all of Canada. So if oil starts to go up, Suncor is a really good stock to own. Warren Buffett has owned Suncor before. I don't know if he owns them right now. It was, when I looked last time, it was about like 0.8% of his whole portfolio, but I don't know if he has a position or he sold it. I mean, Canadian oil sands is not where you want to be right now, but if oil does go a lot higher, there is a bullish stance for Suncor, and it's very low, but they have lots of debt. So, and they're not going to be making any money right now on this price of oil. They're losing money by the ton. So, I'm just going to share what's up. But Cameco, CCO, or that's in Canada, or CCJ in America. And Canada, it's at $9 and it was up 3.3%. So that is the biggest uranium company. So if things get into war, which it very well could happen, who knows? War could erupt out of this situation, because in the past, when things have been in turmoil, they often want to go into war, to distract the situation and blame it on something else, right? So, and nuclear reactors could come online as well. There's a bullish stance for uranium, but it hasn't gotten there, so I haven't really loaded up on uranium, but I do really like that company. It's called Cameco, CCO, and CCJ in America, I believe. And Energy Fuels is the #1 uranium company in USA. I like that company, but I don't have a position. I would like to have a position in Cameco though. And soybean company, Teucrium Soybean, SOYB, was up 1.76%. So I believe that's a big soybean company. So if the prices of food and soybeans go up a lot, that will do very well. And it seems as though that may play out, because inflation seems like it could happen. And, people are going to want food, and they're disrupting that by eliminating all these workers on the road. And it's enabling for them to pump the price of food, I believe. Oh, let's look at cannabis companies. So the biggest winners for today were CV Sciences, and that is one of the biggest and the baddest CBD companies in USA, and they were up 28% today, and they're trading at 42 cents in American. And MedMen was up 22% today at 25 cents in Canada. And Planet 13 is a very good stock in Nevada, and they were up 17.5% and is trading at 134 in Canada. And I do like that company, but Nevada's, closed down. It's just, there's a lot of turmoil going on, but I guess people, they're going to work on delivery. Maybe I haven't read the news release for Planet 13, but a lot of these companies are working on delivery, so they're still going to sell a lot. I mean, TruLeaf is one of my favorite companies for sure for the cannabis sector, and they're doing a lot more deliveries right now. They bought a lot more delivery trucks, so we'll see. What other one? Kush Bottle's KSHB, which is, they basically have, for containers for cannabis, or cartridges for vapes and all that, and they even have a gas cartridges line. I mean, so companies that do extraction need cylinders, so they have a cylinders line, and they're one of the biggest revenue companies. They're also going to work with CBD line, but they don't have the most cash, and they lose money every quarter, as well as a lot of other companies in the cannabis space. But they should be able to sustain themselves, and they fell down to about 31 cents in America, and they already doubled in the last week. They're at 66 cents and traded at the end of the day at 54 cents. And Cannabis, ZENA is trading at 7 cents, up 15%. And ZBISF in America and Even Co, a cannabis company, was up at 8 cents today at 14%. And Canopy Rivers, which is Canopy Growth, kind of their other partner that does the USA side. So they kind of acquire companies in the USA as well as some companies in Canada. And they got a pretty good cash amount, and they're trading at 64 cents, and they were up 8 cents today and 14% gain. And CRESCO-LABS is pretty much one of the biggest and the baddest companies in USA. And they traded at 350 cents, and they were up 12.4% today. So CRESCO-LABS and Curaleaf are the biggest MSOs, in my opinion. And MSO stands for multi-state operator. TruLeaf is kind of a multi-state operator, but they're not in as many states, but they're more profitable. And Hexo was above $1, and they got a deal with Coors for beverage, and they just getting annihilated. So Aurora Cannabis was above $1.05, which I think they're one of the top 5 companies in cannabis for sure. Number 1 or 2 probably, as far as revenues in Canada. And they could do a reverse split potentially. So I'm not super bullish on them, but I do think they have good products for the cannabis market, and they're in a lot of countries. So if they were able to get a lot more liquidity into the company, they could really do well. But they're trading at $1.05, and they were up 8% today. Their ex-CEO sold at at 213 and 239, I mean, and they were up 7. This is Jason, one of our subscribers. It's his favorite company, and they were out where I grew up. They had lots of great tomatoes, but now they have cannabis. I've tried their cannabis. They have a few nice indica strains, but they got big greenhouses, and they cost the lowest cost per gram is Village Farms right now, but they don't have the most market share for cannabis sales in Canada. The companies that got big market share for cannabis sales are Canopy Growth, Aurora Cannabis, Hexo, and Village Farms is pretty good in Ontario, which is the biggest province. But in other provinces, like, they're not in every province. So, but I do like them a lot, and they have a low share count. So it's not just about the share price. When I'm reading these prices out, I'm just saying what they trade at the end of the day. When you're looking at buying or selling a company, you have to look at their market cap, and you want to look at their financials and their cash position, because their cash position is very important right now, especially if they're losing money, right? Because this is a very dire strait. If all of a sudden one of these companies was to get shut down because someone had the virus, and then Health Canada shuts them down, that would be very devastating. That would be the difference between the company having the ability to prosper and being destroyed. Pretty much getting bankrupt or maybe getting acquired by another company. MediPharm Labs is at $1.70. They were down to $1.20 this week, and they were up 7% today. And Valens trades at $2.03, and they were up about 6%. All right, I'll start answering your questions. So hi James, you say that the Wi-Fi cut out. Yeah, no problem, man. I know that I need to fix the stream as well. I think that sometimes it kind of tweaks out. Maybe if I had a lower video quality, maybe it wouldn't do that. I know some people have troubles with but I gotta fix that eventually. And any suggestion on trading cannabis stocks? Yeah, I do have suggestions on trading cannabis stocks. You lost a lot trying to trade them when I first started in 2018. Yeah, I don't know what you were trading in 2018. A lot of companies did pretty good in 2018, in the beginning of the year, but then they all crashed. So the cannabis sector has been very difficult ever since 2018, when about February, when the market kind of crashed. And now you have to be extremely diligent with the companies you look into to invest into. So what I can say about companies to invest into, there's all types, but I would focus on companies that have a lot of cash position, and I would look at potentially scaling into a position. Don't go all in, because these stocks can go a lot lower. And yeah, keep money on the side. But if you're looking to buy companies that I can kind of recommend, even though I can say that there's extreme risk as well in the marketplace, because as I was saying before, the virus and how these companies could get shut down. But I do like MediPharm Labs. So in Canada, it's LABS, and in America, it's MEDIF, I believe. And then there's Valens, which is another extraction company, and that's VLNS in Canada and VLNCF in America, I believe. And then those are both the top Canadian extraction companies, and they're doing positive EBITDA, which is earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, assets. I have owned positions in both those companies. I think those are some of the best companies to own right now, but they do also have risk, because they're growing their accounts receivable, and some companies aren't paying them all the money. So their liquidity position is kind of messing, but they do have like, they can sustain themselves because they don't lose a lot of money every month or anything like that. Uh, they make money, but they have money that companies owe them. So they both have about 50-60 million dollars in cash, but that could get slowly depleted. MediPharm Labs has deals in Australia and in Shoppers Drug Mart. I believe they got a deal, as well as in Germany with Andrex Pharma. So that could be a very big deal in the next 2 to 3 years. But the global market hasn't really expanded. Now, yeah, I like Valens more, but I think they're both have tons and tons of potential to be dominoes and dynamite in the future. But there's there's a lot of volatility in the market, and it's a little sketchy right now. So those are the extraction players that I do recommend. Now, if you're talking cannabis growers and leading LPs, the companies with big cash positions are companies such as Chronos Group, which has problems with their filing. Hey, JG, I was mentioning you earlier. So yeah, that Chronos has problems with their filing. So they basically, I don't know when they're gonna file, but they're probably gonna get lawsuit. But they have lots of cash, and they're backed by Altria, which is a big tobacco company. Some people are saying that Altria is just gonna back out of Chronos, but I don't really think that will happen. I think that they're fine with whatever's going on, and it will blow over. I mean, yeah, maybe they'll get sued a bit, but they got $1.5 billion in cash, and they're not burning the big cash amounts such as Canopy Growth, and they're working on pharmaceutical stuff, and they have flour that they sell in Europe. So they're a global company, and they also have big brands like Lord Jones for CBD in America. So I do like them. Now, Canopy Growth, I didn't like them as much, but I'm starting to kind of like them more. And especially at these low prices, I do like Canopy Growth, CGC in Canada. and weed in Canada, and CGC in America. I do like them because now they got a new CEO, which is David Klein, which was with Constellation Brands, which is one of the top 5 alcohol producers in the world. So I didn't like them as much before, but I'm starting to kind of like the way they're working their business. So they're closing down facilities because they were growing way too much weed and they didn't sell it that much. I still think they have tons of issues, but they basically have about 1.6 billion in cash. The quarter before they had about, I want to say about 1.1 billion, and then they had about 1.4 billion in marketable securities. So this quarter they don't have as much marketable securities. So they don't have marketable securities. It's just basically like stocks and companies. So they don't have that anymore. It's not as big as it was, but it's still decent size. So they could sell it off. But the 1.5 billion in cash and the fact that they're really trying to be lean, mean fighting machines. So they're going to work on having outdoor grows. And when you're making products such as this, it's not going to cost them that much money to make a product. So I don't know how much this cost me. I think it's like maybe $7. So Canopy Growth will have drinks like this for $7 to $15, and so they'll probably make about $5 to about $10 per drink. But the amount of cannabis, it's only like it's about like 0.1 or 0.05 of a gram of flower that they need to extract it into the amount of cannabis that they need to make the product. So realistically, if they use Pure Sunfarms, JG's favorite cannabis company, it would literally cost them no money other than the fact they got to make the beverage, they got to use the can and all that. They could pretty much make a beverage for about $1 or like $1.50 max, and then they can sell it to the provinces for $5 to $10. So they're going to make a lot better profit margins, whereas when they were just selling a lot more flour, they were doing crappy because it was costing them about $6 a gram to grow, and they're selling it for like $6. So they're pretty much neutral, or they were losing money on every gram they sold, and that's before accounting for all their general and administration costs. So I don't have a position in Canopy Growth, but I do think they're fairly safe as a cannabis company compared to a lot of the smaller companies that are in the pennies or in the dollar range. So I do like them. How's it taste? I'll have a bit more. It's what it is it's lemon lime, and it's 10 milligrams, and this is by Tilray. So I think it's pretty good. I mean, no, it's not the Houndstooth soda. This is CBD. That Houndstooth soda will be THC. So yeah. Hi JG. Hi everyone. JG agrees with me. Chronos will be fine, I say, associated with big tobacco. They can close grocery stores even as long as they don't close the dispensaries. Yes, I agree. I've been doing a lot of fear mongering on talking to JG, and I apologize, but I mean things are getting wacky. But yeah, so this is pretty good. I wouldn't mind trying the Houndstooth, but some of the beverages that Canopy Growth are gonna be really expensive, like $10 to $15. I don't even really want to spend $7 for this. I mean, I'm just trying it out. I'll, I'll buy these because they got THC in them, and you'll fill the THC in your system with even 10 milligrams just because it's distilled oil. So I like them. Now another company in the ring for companies to look at is Tilray, but it's hard to say. They just got a big loan. It was like $80 million, and they're from Privateer Holdings. So this is the beverage that they make, and they got also some CBD beverages that are teas. So they got 3 different types of teas, and they're selling really well to old folks. And then as well, There's what else? They got Chowie Wowie edibles. So they got 2 types of Chowie Wowie edibles, and those are selling pretty good. And they have vapes, and they're selling good. Their flowers don't sell that well, but they have a deal with Novartis, which is one of your top 5-10 biggest pharmaceutical companies across in the world. It's a division of Novartis. It's called Sandoz. So that'll be interesting. I don't have a position in Tilray, but I would like to have a position. I should have bought them at 250. Yeah, like JG's saying. But I kind of think that it's only going to go to about $6 or $7, and then it's probably going to retrace back. I was having a conversation with my friend, basically thinking that maybe the market's going to retract. Maybe it'll be up on Monday or Tuesday, but then it's going to go back down. It's hard to say. I'm looking at the charts and all that, but these stocks can defy the charts. I mean, I've been watching them for 4 years, and the stocks, they can totally defy the charts. So who's to say what's going to go on? But Tilray's been as high as $300, and they're a bigger company than they used to be. I mean, they basically are in Israel now, and they're in Europe. They have EU GMP, and they're one of the only companies with beverages, and they got the CBD teas, and they have flour, and they have a big medical patient. But they do need to be leaner and meaner. I mean, if they could grow cannabis for less costs, I don't think they're going to be profitable very soon. So, I mean, I don't know when they're going to be profitable. Some people say maybe 2021, end of 2021, or sometime in the middle. But for their next few quarters, they're probably going to lose money. The companies that aren't going to lose as much money will be companies such as Valens and MediPharm Labs. But I also kind of worry about them because, a lot of the money that those companies make were from oils, right? And oils aren't really moving that much on the rec market. So unless they're moving a lot, the sales from medical distribution, then maybe MediPharm Labs is kind of going to slow down. But they're also doing vapes as well. So they're not just doing the oils, they're doing the vapes. So yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, MediPharm Labs has their own line of vapes under Wayfair, and it's doing pretty well. It's they have ones in the top 4 vapes, and then another in like the top 8 or 10. They have a strain Northern Lights vapes, and then another one with Blue Dream, and that's with the C Cell, and Tilt Holdings owns C Cell technology for their vape cartridges. JG says if Tilray could be Pure Sunfarms, Tilray should buy VFF and Pure Sunfarms for $500 a share. Yeah, no, they should. They should, but until they get a big cash position by Novartis or Ab InBev, then that's not gonna happen. Because I think they're just trying to stay afloat. They could also try to buy Zenabis as well. I think Tilray was buying flour, from Zenabis. They had a deal with Zenabis, but I think they're also getting flour from Pure Sunfarms, VFF. JG says, "Do I have PAX pods?" No, I do not have PAX pods. Haven't even been vaping in the last while. I was just gonna stop using cannabis. I was just gonna do like the edibles here and there, but my work situation's probably like eliminated right now. I was gonna start work in April, but now it's gonna be all messed up. Probably on May or June or whatever. So I'm like, mess it, whatever. I'll buy lots of flour and just roll joints, or I got a pipe as well. So I'd like to try the PAX pods. I'd like to try Zenabis, Citric, and I wouldn't mind trying Afri is the only other company that's got the PAX pods in Canada. As I think so. I know Supreme Cannabis does have a deal as well. And who else? I think Tantalus maybe, and another company, but they don't have them out yet. Organigram does, but they don't have them out yet. Yeah, C-Cell kicks ass. Yeah, I think they do kick ass, but I wish that they could get the stock price up above like 18 cents. I mean, that's just getting demolished. What are other companies? Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with JG. I think VFF is a good company, but they did just raise money at $3.20. So, it's showing that, they have liquidity issues, but it was good that they were able to they're going to raise money. So, that's good for them. I mean, I think Hexo is a good cannabis company, but they have liquidity issues. So unless they were able to get big money from like Coors or some other company, they say they're connected with all these S&P 500 companies. So who knows? Those are pretty much like, I think another one I didn't mention is Aphria. I think Aphria is a really good company in Canada. Based on the fact that they have about 600 million in cash, and they have a pretty good market share in Canada, and they're also getting pretty big in Europe, and they have distribution locked down in Europe, but then they're going to get into more cannabis sales in Europe in the next few years. So I think Aphria will be a good player in the next 3 to 5 years. I don't know if they're gonna go lower or not. I don't know where they're trading at right now. Probably like maybe $3. I'm thinking maybe they went higher. I don't know, but they probably went down to like 275 or 250 potentially. Yeah, Aphria, I do like. ACB. I don't know. I'm kind of scared of ACB. I think they're a really good company. Like their products are good for the most part, but as far as their stock and their share structure, I wouldn't touch it. And I feel the same way. I mean, Hexo is kind of scary, but you just never know, man. You just never know, because this is destroying these companies, obliterating them, because this is weeding out the companies that can survive and thrive in the future, right? Right now is do or die. So that's really what's going on right now. And companies are going bankrupt, and they're either going to get acquired or they're just going to go out of business. So that's what's going to happen in this 2020, and it'll happen maybe in 2021 as well. But that's why I'm trying to just find companies that I believe that are going to be along for the next like 5 years, right? The Warren Buffett mentality. And I'm not super bullish on the cannabis sector. I mean, I'd really like to see a big boost, maybe a company get a big cash injection, maybe like Tilray get like 3 billion, or another company get big amounts of money, and that would really boost the sector. But there also does need to be, it does need to destroy a lot of companies. So yeah, I hope that helps, James. I mean, I have lots of videos on cannabis companies. I got report card series. I got report card series on the biggest and the baddest. And yeah, I mean, for cannabis companies in USA, I think Curaleaf is a pretty good player. But I mean, there's a lot of people that say sell in March and then go away. I don't know what's going to happen this year, because the sales are probably going to increase a lot everywhere, because people are just freaking out about what's going on, and there's people are going to lose their jobs, and they're just going to use more cannabis. So I don't know what's going to happen as far as things go. And that could really boost their bottom line and their revenues and their profits. So, but I mean, there's a lot of people that say, sell in April, and then come back in the September, and that's when the market's going to go up. So yeah, I can see a lot of these companies really have a hard summer. So I wouldn't really recommend going really heavy on buying these cannabis stocks. I'm not saying they can't go higher. I'm just saying typically they usually lose a lot of momentum. I mean, we're still in March, right? But before you know it, it's going to be mid-April, and a lot of people go away. But then people aren't going to go away this year because people are afraid of traveling. So there's a lot of things to think about, and it's things change every day, and the best recommendations I can just say is just be careful. Scale into a position if you want to, but just know there's a lot of risk, and you can have a mental stop loss where, if you bought a stock like Tilray at $4 and it goes down 40 cents, like 10%, you just get out of your position. You have to be strict, because for all you know, it can go back down to $2, right? And then you're losing a lot of money, right? So James Rossman says, real interesting insight. Yes, thank you. I've done lots of research on these cannabis companies, so I think I'm definitely one of the best people knowledgeable about cannabis companies in this whole market. But I just I don't control the markets. There's big market makers that are making it, hedge funds, institutions, and they pull the strings, right? When they want to move the markets and they want to pump it up, the same kind of mentality how Tesla went from $200 to $1,000, and there's all these people that are saying, oh yeah, Tesla's going to go to $6,000. Tesla's going to go to $7,000, and now it's trading at 400 ish. So I figured it didn't hit the $1,000. I got my put and I made a bit of money, and I bought a quarter ounce of gold. So that's what I did. JG's a little joker. He was talking to me. I know you're a kidder, but no, I'm glad to have you guys here. It's good. It's Friday afternoon in the markets. We can talk about stuff. I mean, you guys want to talk about anything, just bring it up. I can talk about lots of other stuff. I can probably be on here for another 45 minutes or an hour, but things like this. People can't get this right now. It's hard to find silver, and the premiums are really high in the stores, apparently. So it's very wild out there, because New World Order or something, man. Like, something's really messed up. It's almost as though they're just evaporating all the whole system with all the debt that needs to be worked out, and then somehow all of a sudden they're going to give these companies in the billions of dollars, like, I don't know, maybe Boeing gets $5-10 billion bailout. They're a military company, right? And I could really see, based on the situation going down, that they try to take the pressure off of the USA, so then they want to go to war with another country. JG says, my wife is working from home now. I might get breakfast and lunch now. Yeah, maybe if you're not such a smart ass, maybe she'll get you those things. Yeah, it'll be interesting, man. Yeah, I mean, it's we're in uncharted times. I mean, I think that there's a lot of things we don't know, and yeah, JG, I agree. I was looking at Boeing. There's a lot of people in all different types of groups that really believe in Boeing. I know they're very over the weekly. I mean, based on technicals and believing that Boeing's not going to go bankrupt, it was definitely a buy today. But based on, I just don't know what's going to happen Monday morning, because I have a feeling come Sunday night there's going to be a lot of negativity, and the market's probably going to get crushed in the morning. So, if I think Boeing, the lowest it's been is like $88, right? For all we know, it could go to like $65 or $75. I know there's a price target. I mean, analysts don't really mean much. I mean, a lot of people are saying that. I mean, the smart people know this. They've known this for a long time. Price targets don't mean ish. They're basically just like, they pay these analysts just to say what's up. And but whatever the case, they had a $300 price target on Boeing, and now they lowered it to $150, right? So, I mean, if you buy Boeing at $99 and it goes to $150, you get a 50% increase in whatever money you put into it. So that's not bad, but there's no guarantee that it's going to go to $150. And on the same token, for all I know, it could go bankrupt, or it could go to $30, or it could go to $40. I mean, there's a lot of unknowns in the market because it's just based on all this negative news. It's just going to keep going down, but it's not. It's the big drop probably already kind of happened, and that's why the VIX is probably not going to spike as hard in the next while. I mean, it probably hit the peak, but you can still make money on trading it if it goes down enough, and then it comes up when there's really red days in the market. But if you buy the VIX based on, okay, the news was really bad in the beginning of the day, it'll just spike. So you're going to be paying way too much money. You have to buy it when things are calm in the market, but you assume that it's going to all of a sudden get really bad in the next like 5 hours or 2 days, however you have your plan for your trade, right? You guys have to make your plan for your trade. Do you want to hold it for the day? Do you want to hold it for a week? Do you want to hold it for a month? Because I think in these markets, it's never a bad idea to think about trade closing out of your position at the end of the day, because there's news that will come out all of a sudden and you just don't know. It'll spring upon you. Okay. James Rossman says, waiting for the injection. Hopefully it will send stocks up temporarily, opening a lot of positions then. Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, the $1 trillion, I mean, I'm just trying to wrap my head around it. I mean, I was working out at oil sands back in September. I think probably before you even found this channel, JG. But I got guys like Sheldon Snow was watching my videos when I used to drive in my car a lot, and you know, I was just speaking legit, and there was like repo stuff going on, and I knew about it, and it wasn't on a big scale as it is now. It was in the tens of 20s of billions. Maybe it was 50 billion to start, but I got to look back on how it started, and now it's up to $1 trillion every day for the next month. $1 trillion in repos. Just think about $1 trillion. I mean, think about it. You got people that are like on YouTube and they think they're super experts in the cannabis or the investing market, and they don't comprehend this shit. They're like, oh yeah, no big deal. It's just a virus. Once they get a vaccine, everything will be okay. Like, they have no idea what's going on. They have no idea what's going on. And James Rossman says, I think Trump will announce positive news regarding the injection this weekend. Yeah, I mean, there's they try to do it last weekend. They'll do rate cuts. So what is probably going to happen is they're going to do negative rates. So what it is, if you have $10,000, then I think they can take money out of your account every month based on negative. So it costs, like, they can take money out of your, so, or if you were having it in a account or something like that, a savings account with interest, that you would actually be losing money on the year. So, I mean, things are getting super wild. I know Germany has a negative interest rate, and another Japan has a negative interest rate. JG says GM is cheaper than it has been for a long time. Yeah, no, I agree. And Ford's 433. Yeah, I mean, I know there's a lot of people that think it's a score, but if they're closing the shops, they have debt. I mean, all these big companies are loaded up on debt. Not like 500 million. I'm talking about 5 billion, 10 billion, 15 billion, 20 billion, right? So, if they're making no money, they're not going to effectively be able to pay their debt. I mean, yeah, I think there's going to be all this economic stimulus that Trump will give to these companies, and things can be very bullish in the future, but we haven't, in my opinion, we haven't turned that page as far as being bullish on the market. I mean, yeah, some stocks are going to go up, but it's just so random, one day all the stocks in the whole stock market other than the VIX will go up, and then all of a sudden it'll be the whole stock market will go down, but then these corona virus stocks will go up based on, you know, some nice news or whatever, or gold will go up one day, or it's just so random. And anybody that thinks like they can predict like 5 days out, like you can't predict 5 days out. I mean, unless you somehow are talking to the federal banks and all the insiders that are doing all these like rigging of the markets, and they're going to tell you what to do beforehand. You can't though. Like you're lucky to look ahead like 1 to 2 hours based on looking on the Bollinger Bands and looking at like a 15-minute or a 5-minute candlestick. I mean, you can have a fairly good probability if you do like a 30-minute and a 5-day chart and see the direction or whatever. But all of a sudden, you know, it could go up to like a stock could go from like 250 all the way to $4, and all of a sudden there's some negative news that comes out in the middle of the day in the market, and then it's just all of a sudden 5 minutes later it drops to like 330 or $3. I mean, that's basically when the oil is going down. That's what I'm noticing. But then there's also the oil's not completely flowing with the whole S&P 500 stocks too. So there's no real rhyme or reason. Uh, it's just a F for all. James Rossman says QE and rates did so all haha. Yeah, they've done some QE, and they've QE said they started last weekend, but I don't know how it's worked. I don't know the information. All I've been able to find as far as information on is the repo operations. There's a link for that I know, and maybe I can give you guys a link if you guys want to see it. I'll get it. But that's basically all I can do. And you know, just seeing like hundreds and or 200 billion in repo operations every day. That's the Fed repo market, and it's wild. I'm seriously seeing this becoming the next Great Depression at this rate. Yeah, no, I agree, man, and it's almost a forced depression because they're telling people that they have to stay inside and they have to close their business. So if the government didn't force people to stop their business, then they could still you know, stay afloat potentially, or they could stay afloat a lot longer. Now, when they force these businesses to close down, they're really destroying the company, especially if they have no cash going. So, uh, countries are planning for this to continue till late in the year. Yeah, no, I agree, man. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna just end tomorrow for sure. I mean, it's got a lot more stuff to go on. I'm gonna put some music on just for a little break. All right, I'm back. So 5G, I really have no idea what's going on with 5G because I hear all this negative stuff about 5G, and there's like some doomsday people saying that they're gonna set up these 5G and nobody wants 5G, but some people want 5G. It's gonna be so fast, and there's all this panic. But I know that all the big companies are fighting for 5G, and the companies that are big on that are Qualcomm, which is QCOM, and that's at 60.91, and AT&T's at $28, and Intel INTC is 45.83, and Cuervo is QRVO at 70.85, and Verizon is VZ, and that's 51.80, and Skyworks Solution is SWKS, and Crown Castle is CCI at $128. Skyworks is at $73, and Verizon's at $51.80. And Sienna is CIEN, and that's at $36. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this for the 5G companies. James Rossman says, am I considering a long position in crypto? They're super low right now. People are starting to see Bitcoin as a safe haven as it's stabilizing a little bit more. Well, I'd like to know how to do Bitcoin. Maybe I'll do that on the weekend. Maybe I'll buy some Bitcoin. Maybe I'll do that, but I just don't understand the wallet thingy. And I don't want it to get stolen. I know Peter Schiff got his Bitcoin stolen. Somehow they stole it from his network or whatever. So I don't know. I would look at GBTC, which is the Grayscale Bitcoin Ethereum Trust. I would look at that, but yeah. Do you have some Bitcoin, James? Yeah, I know James Rossman. I think you're right. I'm not bearish on Bitcoin. I used to be bearish on Bitcoin, but the more I kind of think about this whole situation going down and think about how people could be in the middle of all types of stuff and they just need to move that money, and it might not be possible to do that with cash. Maybe these banks will be closed, or yeah, I've become a person that's I stopped really trying to go after the small dog in any industry, because the market we're in, whether it's late stage in the expansion, which has been completely like destroyed based on like this crash that's happened, but the expansion and all, and the reality is that all the biggest are a lot more safer. They got a moat around them. So when you're looking at companies that are like 4 cents or they're 10 cents, the risk right now of those companies going bankrupt is very high. I'm not saying a company that's at 4 cents or 10 cents going to go bankrupt, but the probability of that is a lot higher than a company that's like $20 or $30 and it's been around for 15, 20 years. But at the same token, the companies that are $15 or $20 can also go bankrupt, right? We've seen like Carnival Cruise, CCL, based on the fact that what went down with the whole situation with that cruise ship, and just people are just don't want to go on cruises right now. So, I for sure could see. So that's where I go back to the fact with Bitcoin or Ethereum. I would only look at getting Bitcoin or Ethereum. I wouldn't try to think and get something that's like thinks it's smarter than Bitcoin or Ethereum. I do know what you're saying, that the banks want to use XRP, but I just think that as far as it goes, that Bitcoin is stable. When you buy some coin like Dogecoin or whatever, like Dash, it's just a little more irrational. It's not as fluid. Now, if you buy Bitcoin or Ethereum, there's a lot more stability to it and people know about it. And it's a lot more likely that it's going to be around in 10 to 20 years. Yes, James Rossman. I have done my research on XRP to the extent I've heard other people talk about it, and I've done my own research. And I do know what you're saying. It has huge potential for the banks. Look, I'm not telling you to sell your Ripple. I mean, you guys got to do your own research and due diligence. All I'm saying that is, if I'm going to invest, or if I was telling other people to invest, if they're not invested, I would stay away from like any other cryptocurrency that's not Bitcoin or Ethereum, because I just don't think there's the same stability. I'm not saying that XRP can't be big, but XRP has a lot of they have a lot of XRP coins, right? It's not if you're talking about Bitcoin has maybe 21 million or something, and then with XRP, they're in the billion. They have like 2 billion, right? So yeah, sure, maybe it's moved around a lot more, but I mean, I don't think you're gonna see XRP go to $500 anytime soon. I mean, can it go to $1? Can it go to $2? Can it go to $3? Can it go to $100? Sure, anything's possible. I'm not saying it's out of the possibility. I'm just saying that I think you're gonna have a lot less stress if you just have Bitcoin or Ethereum, and you're gonna be safer. So that's just the way I kind of look at things. So I'll just play some music for a little bit. I can't even listen to the music because I got my headphones not hooked up to my mic, but hopefully this is some decent music for a little bit, just to kind of switch it up while I'm looking at the different charts now, and then probably look at the S&P 500 for a bit. Okay. All right, I'm back. So we're going to do dividend stocks now. Dividend stocks, we're going to be doing. So dividend stocks are very good in a recession or even in depression. Now, saying that, they can still go down a lot further, right? Because if the company's not making the same revenues, they're losing money, then eventually the price is going to go down, right? But it's good to get dividends because based on the price, that you're going to have a good dividend. And if, say, the stock's at $11 and you say you got a 4 or 7% dividend, when it goes to $30 or $50 or $100 in, say, 3 to 5 years, then you're just going to have way more dividend, right? Maybe you're getting $1 right now. In 3 to 5 years, you might be getting $5 on that rate. I mean, I got to do the math. I'm talking about like a $40 or $60 stock. But when you're getting if you have a 4% dividend, I like the dividends that I have on this are basically around 3 to 5% yield. And those are safer because when the dividends are too big, they're a lot more risky that they're just going to lose their cash. So looking at dividend stocks, big companies, is eyeing them up is a good idea. And that's why I'm just going to share these stocks. So you got Suncor, and I had that in the other commodities. I got Enbridge, E&B. I know Sheldon Snow liked that company. You got Wheaton Precious Metals, WPM. And you got Nutrien, NTR. So Wheaton Precious Metals, all precious metals, and Enbridge is kind of pipelines. They kind of, I don't know exactly their business, but they've been around a long time. Nutrien is, it's can't remember what they are, but it's like agriculture. And Intel is for microchips, and they're INTC. And BHP Billiton is kind of commodities, oil and commodities. And Vale is a lot of steel as well as their big nickel player. So in Tesla, they're going to need a lot of nickel. So they need, like, they're a bigger steel player, and they have some other entities as well, but they're really low, right? They're at $7, and BHP Billiton's at $31. And Rio Tinto is they're similar to BHP. They're in oil and they're in commodities. I'm talking about metal, mainly steel, and I think aluminum as well. And they're at 36.57. And RBC is a big bank in Canada, and they're RY. James Rossman says some dude on Bloomberg today recommends smaller companies. I think that's way too risky right now. Yeah, I think so. I think small companies can go up a lot, but a lot of the expert people believe when the turnaround comes, the bigger companies, the ones I'm kind of talking about right now, those are going to be the ones that are going to move up the fastest. But it all kind of depends on the industry, right? Because you gotta look at things like a lot, like in whole abstract. You gotta look, okay, 2 to 3 months, what's the price it is, what's their financials. But when you're looking at smaller companies, there's even more risk because they can just go bankrupt a lot quicker. So yeah. So ExxonMobil, they're one of the biggest companies in oil, and they're XOM ticker. So, if oil goes up like 3-4 times, this company will do fantastic. So, I have these on my radar, but I just don't really think they're attractive. I mean, they're attractive at the price in a sense, but there's just a lot more downside risk right now. TELUS is one of the big phone companies in Canada, and the ticker is T in Canada. And then Starbucks is SBUX, and they got coffee across the globe. I mean, I can't remember the amount of sales they did. I think they did 25 billion in sales. But now with stores, now they're closed. A lot of them are only doing takeout. You got to grab your coffee and go. So you can't sit in the store. And I mean, some of them are closed. A lot of them are closed down. So right now, it's not a very good company. Just as pretty much 95% of the companies right now aren't really attractive until things clear up. Great-West Lifeco is a big insurance. They also have like RSPs, like, and life insurance and stuff like that. So they're a big one, and they're $22. And Fortis is big in utilities in Canada, and their ticker is FTS, and they're at $46. And then there's Sun Life Financial, which is similar to Great-West Lifeco, I believe, but they're also financial, I guess. So Great-West Lifeco doesn't have financial, maybe, but Sun Life, I think, has insurance as well as they do financial things such as RSPs for people. And Power Corporation is POW, and they're at $19. And I like Pan American Silver, but I sold out my position because of their Peru mine is closed. So Pan American Silver, PAAS, and they're trading at 11.77. So on Starbucks, on the portfolio news, it says Starbucks to close cafes go drive-through only for at least 2 weeks. That's what it just said, even though I thought that was a long time ago. So who knows? Just gonna play music. I'll look at your comment, and okay. James Rossman says, "What are you looking at for the airline industry right now? Might short AAL. I think that's American Airlines. What am I looking at? It's a good question. Basically, they should be closed out. There's people that are saying they're going to get big bailouts, so I predict that's probably what's going to happen. So when they get that big cash in their hands, right, then that would be very bullish, but it'll be more government owned. I mean, I think that's kind of what happened in 2008. These companies were more government owned, and it's just going to happen more and more in USA. So it'll be interesting. I'm not really. I mean, yeah, you could. I don't know about shorting, man. The thing with shorting is that if they get so much money all of a sudden, say you had 100 shares short at $10 maybe, and then say it's at $9, right? And you think, oh yeah, it's going to keep going down to $3. And then all of a sudden they get this big news that it's like a dollar, I mean, $1.5 billion of stimulus to the company, then maybe the company was go up to $12 all of a sudden. So they just go up like 300% all of a sudden. And then, yeah, I mean, what are you going to do? You're now you're down $2 every share for those. So that's the problem with shorting. I mean, yeah, you can look at options to do puts, but the options are very expensive right now. I mean, everything's just the premiums are just so high in the system. So just going to look at a few more portfolio things. So I did a pretty good portfolio. This is what I made up myself. I made a put portfolio, a put watch list, and the companies on that list were Tesla, and I put it on the list when it was like, I don't know, $900, but I did the put when it was $900, and now they're at $427. And Axum was AXSM, and when I put them on the list, they were about $90, and now they're trading at 54.40, and they were as low as 47.92. So I don't know. Sometimes it's good to do these exercises to challenge yourself and all that. For myself, I'm just gonna grow and I'm gonna get bigger and badder. As far as an investor goes, if I can ride out this recession and whatever, and they don't completely go after me and kill me, then I should be able to thrive throughout this. I mean, it's not gonna be fun dealing with all this, but I'm not highly leveraged. I'm not highly leveraged in the system. You know, you got people with a lot of debt, right? There's a lot of people with a lot of debt. So that's what's going to happen. There's going to be houses that they're going to go bankrupt. The people are going to go bankrupt because they just don't have any money. So that's what's going to go down. And it's going to be scary because people have their family and they don't want to, you know, get out of the house. I'm just going to put my glasses on for the hell of it. So, yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting how things are going to turn out. Questions. I mean, it's very confusing, but you know, people are going to lose their shirt on things. But see, what's going to happen is, okay, so people got maybe $60,000 loan on their truck, and now they don't able to work for the next 6 months, or they lost their job permanently. They're not going to be able to pay their cars, and you know, the repo man's just going to take it from them. So they'll take their truck, and then what's the person going to do? And then they'll lose out on their house. They won't be able to pay their mortgage, and yeah, I just think things like that are going to happen because people are over leveraged. They thought that nothing bad's going to ever happen to the economy, and that's just not reality. So it's a scary time. I got the big miners. I got NILSY, which is big nickel palladium player in Russia, and Freeport McMoran at 552, which is one of the biggest and the baddest copper miners in the world. This company has been as high as $60. They also have gold. I mean, I think this company, the price of copper sucks. So I'm not saying to get into this investment or whatever, but when the copper market really starts to flourish and go up, Freeport McMoran, you could potentially make a killing on it. I'm talking potentially this can go to 20 to 40 to $60 in the next 5 years easily, in my opinion. They've been around a long time. I mean, could they go bankrupt? Sure. We're just gonna have to watch. I'm not telling you to buy this stock. I can't tell anybody what to do, but I would never say that this is a buy right now. I'm just saying though this company has big potential to go up a lot in price, as well as Vail at 698 and Norilsk at 1978. These are all biggest, baddest miners, and they're all connected with the EV battery situation, right? In the future, you're going to see those companies thrive because it's just they need lots of nickel, right, for the Tesla batteries, and you also need copper, and yeah, they also have lithium. So what are other things? So I'll look at some airlines since you brought that up. The airlines that I'm looking at, and United Airlines was up a lot today. Could be because maybe they're getting a big bailout. I mean, they are United Airlines, so it seems as though Trump is going to protect his USA companies. So that's UAL, and they're at 24.50, and Southwest Airlines at LUV is at almost $32, and American Airlines AAL's at 10.38. Yeah, I mean, I really wouldn't short that company. I mean, can they go a lot lower? Absolutely, but if you could get a cheap put for like a week or less, then yeah, maybe you could play that role. But I honestly wouldn't do that. I mean, back when they were $30, sure, that would be, but shorting is very risky business. So Wesco Aircraft WAIR is $11, and Delta Airlines is DAL, which I think is a USA company. They would probably get bailed out, and China Southern Airlines ZNH, and they're down 1%, and CEA China Eastern Airlines was down minus 6.6%. So yeah, I mean, the Chinese companies for airlines aren't doing that good, but the USA ones did pretty good today. They were all pretty much even, other than Delta Airlines was down almost 1%. So, I mean, that's definitely, I should be looking into United Airlines. Why was it up? Look into that. What's their ticker? You're talking about, I'll go back. UAL, United Airlines. So, UAL. Mm. So, I had a crisis portfolio, and on that was with the situation was Teladoc. So, I think they've probably been doing pretty good. They're at $140. So, I think I made this list about a week or two ago. So, I just want to look at how it's done. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of been up and down, but I mean, it went down to $116 and now it's back up. So, but if this goes down, ooh, Teladoc could be a really good short potentially. Teladoc's going to be a really good short, actually. Yeah, Teladoc, Teladoc. When things get bearish for these crises, oh yeah, Teladoc's going to be really good. And Las Vegas Sands, I thought was going to be a good put because nobody's going to the casinos. The casino where I'm at is closed, so yeah, it's interesting. But they've gone down a ton, but they just kind of rebounded a bit. Teladoc, yeah, I think Teladoc will be definitely interesting. Oh, the copper company, FCX. Teladoc, man. Oh man, I want to do puts on Teladoc. Teladoc. Yeah, I'm gonna do. I think I will. I think Teladoc's gonna be really good, but it just has to turn downwards. I mean, it can go a lot higher. It could go to $200. I mean, I could play both sides on calls or puts. So I like the idea of Teladoc. So I'm just gonna play some music for a little break, and then I'm gonna look at another portfolio. But if you guys got any questions, I know there's only 2 people on right now, but I'm all ears, and I appreciate you guys being here. All right, so I'm gonna go into another watch list. This is low PE ratios, and I also, because low PE ratios, miners is low price to earnings ratio, right? So if a company has a lower PE ratio, that's better, but there's other things you have to look at when you're evaluating a company. You have to look at their debt. There can be like a debt to equity ratio or their cash position that you can look at. But yeah, that's important. So Freeport McMoran is in there because they have a pretty damn low PE ratio, even though they're probably losing money right now. They're probably losing a lot of money every month, but if they have a lot of cash and they sustain themselves, but I'm not saying to buy them right now. I'm just saying keep these on your watch list if you're focused on buying the biggest and the best companies in the mining space. Uh, Keep these on your watch list. So United States Steel is one of the biggest steel companies, and they're gonna get bailed out. If a steel company gets bailed out or like commodity company, they're very high on the list to get bailed out. So their ticker is X, and they're trading at $5.29. And they make in the billions of dollars, but they don't make big profit margins, so they're a little tighter. Now, another company is Tech Resources, which is TECK, and they're trading at $7.12. And Tech Resources, I do like them, but their situation in Canada is not very good. They're basically a Canadian company, and the commodity prices suck. So, but I mean that has a big potential to really go up. The last crisis back in 2016, they went to about $4, and then they hit as high as like $35. So I don't know. There's a big potential if they go really low. I think that's a good commodity company to look into. But there is risk behind all 3 of those companies. I mean, there's really not any company that's low risk at the moment. We're just at very high risk in the markets. But there's big money to be made. Some of these companies are going to do extremely well. I absolutely agree 100%. Some of these companies are going to go up, 500, 10,000, maybe not 10,000, but 500, 1,000% in the next, you know, 3 to 5 years easily, in my opinion. Was my reason for being bearish on Teladoc? Well, I think they're only going to be really hot when they really make a big deal of this coronavirus, right? Because right now everybody are panicking on the streets and they're afraid to go into a doctor's office, right, and talk to a doctor and see other sick patients. So they're not really doing that great. The doctor's offices, but Teladoc, because people are going to use that service because they can do it online, right? But once the virus is over, that'll be, or it gets close to being over, when it starts to dissipate, then that stock's just not going to have that same type of kind of appeal, right? Because people are going to be like, oh, well, people can go into their regular doctor. They like their regular doctor. And I don't know. It could potentially stay up. I'm not saying it's going to potentially go down for sure, but I think there's a high likelihood. I always look at probabilities. I think the best investors look at probabilities. Um, and it's also more like a trading mentality, right, as far as probabilities. But they look at things high probability, right? So when you look at the strategy, why is Teladoc going up? It's because people don't want to use it, so they're flooding and they think, oh, well, I'll just buy that stock, right? But as soon as like the fears subside, they're gonna be like, oh, well, I don't want to own the stock anymore because they think it's overvalued or anything like that. I just think the institutions will take it down, and it's at $140. I mean, I think it could honestly go down to $30 or $15. I mean, in the next 1 year or less. So, I mean, I think that it's a very when things get clear with the virus, I think it's a high likelihood that it'll go down a lot. I'll go through the companies with Central Garden. I'm talking about the S&P 500 companies. I just messed up. But yeah. So the companies that were I'm not gonna do the percentage because I kind of want to just get through this, but I'll start with the first one for the percentage. So the first one had minus 18%, and that is Central Garden Pen today, and it's at $25. And Albemarle is a big lithium player, so they need lithium for these Tesla batteries. So their ticker is ALB, and it's trading at $53. And then Primerica is I don't know what they are actually, but they are PRI. And PepsiCo, the big soft drink, they should be around for the next 15, 20 years as long as, the economy doesn't completely destroy and we don't start killing each other for like the next 5 years. Yeah, so PepsiCo, PEP, the ticker, and they're at $104. And Eaton, their ticker is ETN, and they're an automation company. And 3M is $125, and they're basically industrial. They got industrial safety gear. They have the N95 mask as well for this virus thing, but they're that's not their core business, right? Their core business is industrial and having safety supplies for the oil and other big businesses. So I'll get into the next one is Abbott Labs, which is a pharmaceutical company. So that's $68. And Eli Lilly is that's a good question. I'm not sure exactly what they are. I think they're pharmaceutical as well. And their ticker is LLY, and their price is $122. And Procter and Gamble is PG, and I believe they're kind of consumer goods. Like they got toilet paper and they got other things like toothpaste and other things I think they have. So I'm not sure whole their business, but they've been around a long time and they're trading at $102. So these are stocks that, they're the S&P 500, right? They're the top 500 companies. So, if the market's going to go up in the next 5 years, these are the ones that are most likely to go up with the market. So some of these companies can go bankrupt though. So that's just the risk. Goldman Sachs is one of the biggest banks, and their ticker is GS, and they're $138. And Bank of America, which is a big bank, and Warren Buffett owns them. I think he also owns Goldman Sachs as well. And Bank of America is BAC, and they're trading at 1967. Just a few weeks ago or months, they were trading at $30. Another ticker is ALX. I'm not sure what they are, but they're probably pharmaceutical, and they're trading at $235. And Philip Morris is a big tobacco company, and their ticker is PM at $61. So just know these ones I'm talking about, they're from the first ones I talk about lost the most today, and now these ones are losing less and less. Okay, so Sanofi is one of the biggest and the baddest pharmaceutical companies. They're trading at $38, and their ticker is SNY. And they could have potential to get into the cannabis sector. They have patents as well. Same with Novartis and some of the other ones. They're just kind of like really like quiet about it because they don't want to hype up the sector until they have total control over it. And Apple is AAPL, and they're trading at $229. And yeah, I mean, obviously everybody knows what Apple are, but they got a lot of cash, so they got that going for them. So I mean, Apple's definitely one of your staples as far as one of the best and the most likely to really be a top-notch company in the next 5 years. I mean, there's high likelihood this company is going to be, $1,000 or $2,000 in the next 5 years if things keep rolling. But who knows what's going to happen? I mean, maybe they're going to get into automated cars or stuff. Like, things are going to change, right? Get back into Wells Fargo is a bank, I believe, and their ticker is WFC, and they're 2650. And then Rockwell Automation is ROK, and they're a big automated player, and they're at $126. And United Health, a big healthcare company. And when the virus goes away, this company should do better than a company like Teladoc, most likely. That's just my thesis again. I could be wrong, but that's what I believe. And their ticker is UNH, and it's $265. And British American Tobacco is BTI, and they're trading at $29.88. What I also want to explain as well in this video is that a lot of these companies also have yields. They got dividends, right? So say you had like $10,000, you're probably good chance getting $100 to $400 back every year in dividend yields. So just something to share with you guys. And Fresh Del Monte Produce, FDP, and they're trading at $34.31. They're basically got fruits, and mainly fruits, canned stuff. And Johnson & Johnson, ticker JNJ, I think they're the biggest pharmaceutical company. They're trading at $119. So they're one of the biggest companies for sure. And I've done Starbucks. So Manulife is another one, and wow, they're low at $9.39. So Manulife Insurance, and their ticker is MFC. And man, this list is long. Holy moly. I don't think I'm going to do the whole list. I'll just say what the top 5 stocks were in the S&P 500 out of that list. Were the top one was 17.4%, so pretty much the opposite of the negative. And that ticker is H, and they're in the hotel business. And another one is the SPXU, which is the short S&P 500, and they're trading at 38.33, and they're changed 13.84%. And AltaGas, ALA, and they were up 12.77%, and they're trading at $12. And the biggest company for alcohol is called Anheuser-Busch, and their ticker is BUD, and they were up today 10%, and they're $40. And Gaming and Legion Properties, GLPI, 1913. I wonder what maybe a company like EA Sports, because if people are going to be inside, maybe they're going to buy more video games. But EA is the ticker for EA Sports, but seems like they didn't have that great of a day. They're down about 3.4%. Yeah, and then that's my list for my portfolio. I'm gonna end this off soon, I guess. But yeah, no, I'll answer your question on real estate for sure. Just give me a second. I'm just gonna catch my breath. Oh, Yeah, so what's my opinion on real estate? My opinion on real estate is that, yeah, I think we can look at real estate, but I think that a lot of, as I mentioned earlier in the video, I think some stuff's gonna get purged, right? Because people don't have cash, right? So I watched Trading Fraternity, and he's got a. I did a real estate video, not a video, but I bought a program, and it's basically just gives you more information on real estate. And I watch other people on real estate videos, like the big guys in real estate are Graham Stephan and Meet Kevin and Grant Cardone, but I don't like Grant Cardone. But anyways, those guys are pretty affluent in the whole real estate game. But that guy tells me that his lending tips, he's got some type of channel as well. And if you were able to talk to people trying to sell their real estate and you were able to line up an investor to sell that, that's where the money could be made. So I think that's the way to go, actually. I think if you can be the middleman right now as far as a real estate person, and you can line up a seller with a buyer or a buyer with a seller, I think if you're able to play that game and really I think you could make mad money in that situation, man. I think that's a good idea. Now, as far as getting your own real estate, I think things can go down a lot further. So, as far as buying real estate, I'm not really interested right now. When things become more clear, and I think there's going to be a lot of bankrupts, foreclosures. That's when, if you're able to talk to the bank and ask them about foreclosures, if you got cash, or you're able to you got your job, you're able to set up, maybe they'll give you like a $300,000 mortgage or a $500,000 mortgage, and then all of a sudden you're able to look at a house they're like, oh, they only want $290,000, and you're like, I'll give you $200,000, and they're like, no, and then you just snipe them and you pay like $220,000, and then as soon as things get a lot better, say in like a year, then maybe you can sell that house for say like 320 or 350,000 or $400,000. And then all of a sudden you have all this equity, right? So now you got say like 170,000 in equity maybe that you built from that house. Now then you could be like, okay, I'm gonna buy this house, and then you're gonna buy another house, and you're gonna have like two houses, and then you can rent the house. I mean, you gotta stay within your budget. You don't want to be over leveraged, and interest rates are most likely gonna go increase as soon as this economic recession kind of gets better and all the stimulus gets pumped in. The interest rates are slowly gonna go up. I believe so. Are you looking at real estate? Yeah, so I agree, man. I think you got to be a predator. Be a predator. I mean, it's not bad, man. There's people that were way over leveraged. They think they're on top of the world. They think that they can just buy $1 million house because they're making $40,000 a year, and now they lost their job, and they're gonna sell that house, and the bank's gonna be like, oh shit, and then they're gonna be able to maybe you get it for half price or less. I mean, I don't know. You don't need to go after $1 million house right now or whatever if you're starting off. You could look at place that's like maybe selling for $400,000, and then maybe in 6 months or a year, maybe you can get it for like 50% or 100% less. And, you know, I've only bought one house before. I had a real estate, a condo, and I did pretty good on it. Have I done always good in the cannabis market? Or no, I've gotten beaten the shit out of in the cannabis market because I don't have control over some of these companies, and there's been a lot of fraudulent practices. But I'm consistently finding better and better companies to invest into in the cannabis space, and the ones that I talk about now are only the A plus companies. But when I bought my real estate condo, I basically it was $165,000, and I talked them down to I think like 161,750. So I said like 155,000 to begin with, and then actually it was selling for 269, I believe. No, 169,000, that's what it was. And I said 155,000, and they went down to $165,000, and then I went down up to like 158 or 159, and then they said 162,000 when I said 160,000, and then we just meet in the middle. It was like 161,500, and then I believed that the real estate market was going to go down. Uh, and I thought it was back in last June. So I put my condo on the market, and I wasn't sure I was gonna sell it, but I want to see how much I could get. And they were raising my strata fees. So when I first got in there, it was $268 a month, and now that was like up to like 375. So I was just getting choked on that extra amount of money. So then I basically told them that I'll I told my real estate agent, put it on the market for $205,000. I took excellent photos. I can take photos. I take great photos. I got a good camera, and I took great photos, and I had, nice light and everything like that, and it was really good photos. And the first person that went to the place, I had it offered for $205,000. The first person gave me exactly what I wanted. So I was like, all right, right on. And then someone else was going to come by after, and I was like, no, I don't really want someone else to come by. But they could have offered even more. Maybe I would have got $210,000, right? So I had to give about $10,000 to the real estate agent. So I closed out on my position at $195,000, and I paid $161,000. So on the buy and then the sell, I made $31,000. So that was a good buy or sell. But yeah. Yeah, no, thanks, James Rossman. It's been a very tough month, and I'm just I gotta keep smart, keep intelligent, and do my thing. But no, for sure, man. I'm learning in this difficult challenge, and when things get bullish, and then the next time things get very bearish, I'm not afraid to go from bull to bear. So I just have to. It's like a sin thing, right? Like in my mind, I used to think that being bearish and want to like think the stock's gonna go down is like a devil's like mentality or a sin. But I just figured now it's like it's the way to go, and you can short the cannabis stocks without like actually shorting it. You can do it through like an ETF, like an HMJI in Canada. So there's ways to protect yourself when the market's going down in any sector. But I don't know, man. It's a tough market, but I think things are gonna get clear in the next 1 or 2, 3 weeks. And there could be very good setups. I mean, I'm talking about companies like Apple. Maybe they go down to $200, and then like a week or less than a week go all the way to 250 or 260 or 270, right? Just go boom. And so we could definitely see that happen with Apple. So I mean, you snake it at $200, and then all of a sudden it goes to 250. I'm not saying Apple's not going to go down further. I honestly think that Apple could realistically go down to 150 or $100. But if you're able to get Apple at $100 and things start clearing up, I mean, I think that's a very high probability to get Apple to 100 and then sell it at $300 within 1 to 3 years, I think. So, I don't know, man. I I gotta get going, and there's no more questions. I think I'm gonna get going. It's been 2 hours and 6 minutes. Thanks for watching and all that stuff like that. I'll just play a little song until for a minute or two, just keep peace out. And yeah, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and Shaka, peace. But we'll play some music. I'm not just like leaving right now. Uh yeah, no problem, man. Yep, yep. So I got checking my compass, and I think it says we're going to hell. So be prepared and be safe out there. Don't be wandering around at night. Things could get very sketchy. There could be a lot of people on the being crazy. And yeah, no, you always learn best that way. Have a good one, man. Yeah, no. Thanks, James Rossman. It was great having this chat. I think I'm gonna be doing this live stream on Sunday at about 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time or 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, somewhere around that time. It may be before that, but I'll probably be doing it for about an hour or 2 hours. So if you want to come on and chat, JG usually shows up. Sheldon Snow is showing up a bit, so maybe he'll show up and you have a good conversation. We can just chat based on the way that the commodities are kind of fluctuating at the end of the Sunday night. So, anyways, thanks for watching. I'm out.